Okay, so Two Autistics Talk Money, literally it's me and Brigid talking about something that has to do with money, but at the same time, we are talking about we try to stay somewhat on topic, although we'll definitely get off on a few rants or a few other things. This is definitely recorded for YouTube. I'm a finance person, and Brigid's like an everything person. And she's way more fun and interesting than I am, although that doesn't say much depending on the subject. And so today, we pick a topic if people kind of don't come up with one, or just something that like comes up that like we're getting like questions on. And a lot of times there's repeats, but so this time we're going to talk about financial scams, and Brigid promised only one rant to go off about MLMs. So we'll save that for a time. But so let's talk about just, again, financial scams and just, again, anything to do with that being taken advantage of money-wise. Do you have any thoughts, Brigid, as we're just getting started?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm definitely not alone in having been on the receiving end of the emails or Facebook messages.
I thought you were going to say the receiving end of the money from a financial scam.
No,
and I'm like,
I love that. Yeah, my bank calls and checks if my mom puts money into my account. And I told them that if anyone ever wants to put money in my account, they have my permission. I don't know, like they said that that's not how it works. But I was actually having a conversation with someone a couple weeks ago, which is how this topic kind of started the ball rolling, where they're like, oh yeah, they messaged me late at night and saying that they were in a bind and I needed to send them all these Visa gift cards, but I told them that I was going to bed. And my friend honestly thought that this was her friend who needed Visa gift cards at 11 o'clock at night. I had to explain that this is a hack. This is a scam. It's not real. Like, you should let your friend know that they got hacked. And I think especially for the digital age where so much is done behind screens, that we sometimes don't know what's on the receiving end. I also really love to support local artists or people who make, again, I do mermaid stuff. So handmade costumes, pieces like that. And there's a lot of companies that take advantage of other companies' photos, will post them online and be like, look, buy this product. And it's like, you get like a Barbie toy or nothing, because these companies are overseas or they're just shell companies and scams, and people are also kind of wanting to get a bargain. And sometimes I feel like scams, you can tell if it really is too good to be true. It probably is.
That is probably like the best thing to go with. Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If you just do a gut check with that. But like the text message and the Visa gift cards are interesting. And I find them especially interesting because, if somebody steals your credit card and your identity, you call your credit card company, you report it, and usually you're protected. If you send a gift card to somebody, that's your own damn fault. Like, and I'm not saying you weren't taken advantage of. I'm not saying they're not really good at doing this and they target people very specifically. But at the same time, that's a time to be even more cautious in my industry, because we, send people money. We manage lots of money. We do lots of different things. So we have a rule, which is a very, look, ableist might be the correct term rule, but we're supposed to call people to verify financial transactions, right? If someone requests money. Yeah. If somebody wants money from their account, we need to verbally verify. Now, somebody may have the authorization to do it themselves, but in general, well, because think about this for a second. And I'm not saying that there aren't, but there might be times when you can set somebody else up to be able to do it themselves online. But for example, somebody can email, and a lot of financial advisors are older, especially too. They put the phone number in, it looks legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're even, hey, don't click the phone number in the email, right? Because I mean, I don't have a lot of phone numbers memorized anymore. I don't think a lot of people do. So also be careful too if somebody says, well, hey, call, or like the phone number makes it look more legit, but the phone number could be fake. I actually got I got a scam yesterday.
Ooh,
It was
tell us
from
about it.
I could even actually I could even share.
You can even read it.
I got an email with somebody. I own like 2 pieces of rental property. And I got an email from somebody from a Gmail address offering to give me a bunch of money, but the terms were just too good to be true. Right. So essentially it was basically we'll finance 100% of your investment property. We want like 2 pages of information. We have a bunch of money. And the hard thing is when it comes to investing in real estate, there are hard money lenders. There are people who charge you like higher rates,
Yeah, but aren't
like
those
loan
also,
sharks.
yeah, I was gonna say those are the people that also break your legs if you don't pay it back, right?
It's a little bit different in some of like the real estate world. Like if it's a little more complicated than that, but yes. But like when I get like a random email and it's like, and we're doing loans, right? Then it's, it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. Like you look at the application and it's not that they're going to, give you money, right? Or, what might happen is they might say, ooh, we deposited, we need 5,000 to test to make sure it's legitimate. Right. And you're like, oh, I'm getting $1 million. So what's a couple thousand? Right. Like, oh, I'm going to get it back. And so anyway, it's definitely, it's easy to fall for them, but I think you shouldn't feel ashamed about it. And see, that's a scam where I don't think they wanted money. I think they wanted my identity, which are 2 completely different things, right? There's protecting your identity, somebody doing things in your name, but getting like scammed out of giving that information. And then there's literally, losing money to somebody for something. And I think
a big way that people can also steal identities are those really horrible Facebook like quizzes of like
yes,
yeah, like I was doing some research and stuff on this and oh, surprise like there was one I saw today of like your stripper name is your grandmother's maiden name and the street you grew up on, and I'm like, this is really obvious, like a security password reset that like people are just giving out. Like the name of your first cat, like what is this stuff? It's really obvious when you like sit back and think about it. But people will just kind of hand over some of this information and not really think twice about it. But I think that if someone got my ID, they would probably return it or just be really confused.
You're probably. What does your ID look? Yeah, I guess.
Like if like someone tried to take over, because again, as like someone who has a lot of student loans, it's like, haha, you're gonna rub all this debt. Good luck. Like 20-year-old me already did that by signing up for student loans.
Or it's really funny, actually. I was subject to like a potential scam where people were trying to file your tax return and get the refund early. And I have to pay money in April as a business owner. So I pay quarterly taxes along the way. So I'm like, yes, I don't get a refund. You want to pay my quarterly taxes? Like, have fun, please. Like, kind of put the money in the bank account, but that doesn't work. I have a good tip on how to, so let's do the first part of protecting your identity from getting scammed, right?
Sure.
Because that's different than somebody directly taking money. My favorite, I have two favorite ones. They're both pretty simple. One is freezing your credit. So nobody can take out credit cards or loans or things in your name without you unfreezing it. So that just means when you go to apply for a loan or a mortgage or a credit card, you just need to spend a few minutes and you need to unfreeze everything. And you can do it. So, and this is really important because we will forget to then refreeze it. So you're able to put like, oh, 30 days, it's unfrozen, and then it freezes again. I don't know if you've ever done that. So that's like kind of.
No, because I didn't know that that was a thing until you told me about like 2 weeks ago when we were last chatting.
So, yeah. So, and that wasn't on this. That was for something else, right? So,
Yep.
so yeah, freezing your credit, probably one of my favorite ones because there's kind of no reason not to. And that just means if somebody goes to try to take credit card in your name, they can't. So it really just stops a lot right there. Or even sometimes too, have you ever like applied for like a card or applied for something and you thought they wouldn't check your credit, but they did?
Yeah, but I got a free t-shirt out of it.
Well, but if you had your credit frozen, I think, would you get the free t-shirt anyway?
No,
I don't know. What kind of t-shirt?
I don't know whatever happened to it, but I still actually use the credit card. It's a travel one.
Okay. So there you go. But the other one is when it comes to identity questions, like, and not like person first, but I mean like, scamming identity questions. Like the grandmother, the maiden name, the place where you were born. The tip I give people is pick a few answers that only you will know the answer to, that nobody else will know the answer to, and use that consistently across your accounts. For example, almost all the security questions have something along the lines of a town where you met your spouse, town where you were born, right? A town your parents were from. And what you do is you pick a city that you will always remember as the answer to those questions.
Like Springfield.
There's 26 Springfields in the US and Canada combined.
There are.
That is not important. Did you know that, or are you just believing me?
I don't know if you're telling the truth. I just like The Simpsons had come up recently in conversation, so that's why I thought Springfield.
Yeah, I don't know how many are in Canada, but I remember reading that fact like 20 something years ago, and it just stuck with me because 26 in the US and Canada combined. So I don't know how many are in Canada, probably more than one, but at least one.
If you know the answer, put it in the chat.
Yes. I mean, the fact that I still remember there's 26 anyway. But put like Springfield or put, I don't know, just somewhere, but put any town as long as you remember the answer, because people can figure out where you were born. But people may not know just this town that you pick, right? Or for your favorite pet, you probably post pictures of your pet all over Facebook. So
I do, but I use their casual and informal names. I do not use their full titles.
Is that like Catholic or Hebrew names and real names?
No, it's like, I mean, maybe, but it's like I use this like right currently behind me is Icky, but his full name, like instead of just Ichabod Crane, he actually has a very long name with extra middle names that we have for him.
I don't know.
Like how Binks's full name is Thackeray Trouble Binks, but he also has some other middle names in there too.
How do you remember all their names?
Because after a while it flows. But this is also the reason why the roommates, I changed the password for our Wi-Fi. And it's a really cute one involving like puns, but it's also like 16 letters long. And they're like, okay, this is funny, but also annoying to try like plug it into the computer and like on.
But is your name of your Wi-Fi funny?
Yes.
Yeah, what is it?
It's Sirens Lagoon.
Okay.
And my TV is Planet Express.
My Wi-Fi is No More Mr. Wi-Fi.
Of course it is.
So I like that one. But anyway. So, so pick something like that's a good way, because then even if you do participate in those stupid Facebook things with all the grandmas giving away all their confidential information, because that's how somebody gets you with the security passwords. So put false information, but put false information that you'll remember. Put your least favorite pet, not your favorite pet. Or,
so if you have children, you put their names instead.
So are we saying that we like pets more than children, or that children are just like animals? I'm not against either of these choices. I'm just curious.
I like both.
Okay.
Like I feel like the sizing for children's clothing is more uniform than pets clothing.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you can have like, 100, a 60-pound, puppy almost, right? Like a big husky. I do know like a 60-pound, like 60-month-old dog or 6-month-old dog. So, but you can have big puppies. You can also have really, really tiny puppies, or you can have rats. So you have rats?
No.
I mean, have you ever had rats? I feel like you'd like rats.
I've had pet rats.
Okay.
Like not me personally, but I've been at events and someone's like, "Hey, you want to hold this rat?" And I'm like, "Sure." Yeah.
So, okay. So that's just one and again, freezing the credit and just picking security questions that are not dumb. My last one is, when it comes to a password, use one of those password management systems like LastPass that saves all your passwords. And an argument that I get in with my wife every time we get a new TV or a new device is our Netflix password, because it is really long and it's really convoluted. And she's like, it's Netflix. What is somebody going to do if they hack our Netflix?
Oh, I had my Netflix hacked.
And what happened?
Like they tried to go in and like I don't know how, but got my credit card information, and like it actually did become a thing. So if you want, I can totally vouch for you, like with your wife, and be like, no, actually, like Netflix passwords, like it's a thing.
But now, did you use the same password elsewhere though? Or
Yeah.
like, so that's the other thing too, is if they get Netflix and they get the Netflix password, then they get the password to all of the other accounts. So it's not so much that our Netflix password is complicated just because Netflix is complicated. It's that all our passwords are different. Therefore, if somebody does manage to get one of our passwords, they're not getting all.
Devices.
So that's why there's software that puts the passwords across all the devices securely.
All right, I'll look into that.
Like LastPass is what I use. So anyway, I know you're very skeptical of that, but
there's a lot.
But it's easier than trying to remember them. Then you only need to remember one password, right? And you can have one hard password.
What if they get that one password?
Well, then you have the 2-factor authentication with your phone. See? Yeah, there you go. So
I think one of the things that we're almost halfway, so like a rant's appropriate. I think one of the biggest things that I take issue with for scams is MLMs of companies that you think that you're buying a product, you're actually buying a subscription. That you can try something for $5, but in the fine print, it'll say that it'll charge your card $150 a month forever, and you have to like pay an outrageous fee to unsubscribe. And like the marketing strategies are just very, very predatory. It's gross, and I have had way too many people I know kind of get suckered into MLMs, and a lot of them have recovered, thankfully. But and I mean, I got suckered into them before I realized, like, I didn't sell anything. Like, I just like bought some products, and then I'm like, oh, this is not good enough to spend money on repeatedly forever. But
And,
yeah,
and MLMs are interesting because it's not like completely a scam. It's really being taken advantage of, right? Or just,
I think it's both.
yeah.
For people who wonder what are the abbreviations, it's multi-level marketing. So they're pyramid scams where there's like uplines and downlines, and people recruit you to join, and your income is based on getting other people to spend their money. And like a lot of the products and stuff aren't even good quality. And it is very predatory, where you kind of get recruited into a cult-like atmosphere where, oh yeah, we're one family, we support each other, but you have to do this, otherwise like not part of the family. And yeah, again, it's that whole like the Huns and the girl bosses sometimes, where it's like, no, are you really your own boss? Like what's really in your products?
So yeah, no, what I would, but there's some good products like Mary Kay, Tupperware, brand, right? Well, it's sold that way, right? So not like, and
Not
that's kind of
always. Yeah.
not always, but I think they were, or I'm trying to think of one. I think we have a bunch of Tupperware stuff, or maybe another one. Something sold or are, but again, generally it's like, you can, but if it, if it was that easy to make money doing something, everyone would be doing it, right? So again, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I like the quote, there's no secret to success. Have you ever heard a successful person who won't stop talking about it? Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's also one of those like the ads, they target a lot of single moms,
yes.
people who are like disabled as well too, which is part of the reason why I bring it up, and try to lure them with the earn $600 a week sitting at home, or you can work just from your phone. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not actually accurate about what is involved in this, and how much work there really is.
And I think if you shouldn't be afraid to, ask questions and ask like how somebody's paid, how much somebody makes money. That's like a very like taboo subject in a lot of ways. Like just like what's the profit on this, right? But if it's something where you're looking to do that, like I guess like ask the questions. And yeah, multi-level marketing pyramid schemes, there's just they have that like sense of legitimacy, and I think that's kind of like the worst part. Like, what do you know anyone? I think I've seen like that pink car they give to like a top like Mary Kay makeup seller. Do you know that's a thing? Like,
yeah, I don't know if it's still a thing,
or was a thing, but like but there's some legitimacy to them, right? Like they're not as complete, like they're not just completely fraudulent, right? There's a reason, there's some basis in something what they're doing. There's usually something else similar that they're modeling and copying.
Well, right, but that's also like the fact that, let's use the lottery for example. Yeah, someone's going to win the lottery doesn't mean everyone who enters is going to be a multimillionaire. And if you look at some of the income disclosure statements of MLMs, which they now have to legally provide, it'll make note of less than 1% actually earned the triple diamond Jaguar Ruby Ultra Lord level. And
It sounds like
again,
a Scientology level, by the way. I think
probably
it might be.
I just like threw a bunch of stuff together, and I think
Isn't that what Scientology is?
I this is on YouTube. Like you were talking earlier, not wanting to get canceled. Like
okay, so anyway, moving on.
No, so I think a big thing about scams too, being careful of where you put your credit card and stuff online, like the reoccurring charges. I mean, I will fully admit that I don't know how to cancel like 2 of the subscriptions I have. It's 99 cents a month.
Wait, what are they?
One is for Waze, like the camera system.
Or no, the map.
No,
Like Waze is like
why?
Google.
No, Wise, WYZE.
Okay.
But like again, like figuring out like to email the tax support, like all that stuff. Like even as someone who feels that they're kind of skilled with some of this stuff, it still gets exhausting, confusing, and I put it off. One thing that I do put in my calendars to help me is if I sign up for a free trial,
Yep.
I'll put it in my calendar to unsubscribe or cancel it a day before it renews. And I set like 50 alarms for that.
Yeah, no, and I think we've talked about it before. I'm a big fan of this app, Truebill, that can help identify a lot of those charges. One thing that is really annoying to do is sometimes it's not the worst idea. It sounds like a very lack of a better term, just lazy person thing to do. Just cancel your credit card and get a new number like once a year. And then you have to go through. Brigid, I can see the look that you're giving me.
No.
But like, and it's like, well, I mean, like 2 things happen because then everyone's calling you and contacting you to let you know that your billing's outdated, right? And it's like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like a forced solution to it is literally just to cancel your credit card and get a new number.
Oh, totally. I see how that is actually a really responsible and logical thing to do. But I also just bought a new pair of shoes earlier today, and my credit card information was stored on the website. So, like, I would have missed out on that sale if I was like waiting in the mail for a new credit card or, yeah. Like, I again know it's probably a smart thing to do, but these were really cute shoes.
Well, see, there you go. Did you use Ebates, the Raccoon?
I use Honey.
Okay, yeah, similar. So yeah, no, and I need to buy something, and then I didn't have my credit card for 2 days, but I got it.
See?
So yeah, I actually, ooh, I had a big fight. It wasn't like quite a scam, but it's like kind of related. I probably spent like a week of my life dealing with this. So we use this software. It's like Dropbox for like file sharing, and I run my entire business on it. And I'm going to try to say this in a way that doesn't take up the rest of the time.
I can interrupt you. You get 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. But see, now I'm just thinking now for 5 minutes, I'll think about how I get 5 minutes. But anyway, and it was so dumb because I committed to a year of paying for 7 people, but I had put 12 people, and then I had wanted to downgrade to 10 people, just like people come and go in a company. They told me I couldn't downgrade. So my contract says I was going to pay for 7 people for software for a year. I'm like, okay, I'll honor that. But then they said I couldn't downgrade from 12 to 10, even though I'm still paying more than 7. I went a little in meltdown territory, but it kind of worked out well because I was probably going to leave them anyway. And it's so dumb because it's like, it's a click of a button, right? Like to add another user, like it wasn't like, they actually had to do anything to give me the account or not. They were making money off me. And I'm like, I had a contract. I'm okay paying for, what I signed. So anyway, the long story short is really hilarious. And I got lucky. Apparently they had an error in their website that let me cancel anyway.
Ooh.
So, but then they tried to bill me anyway. But I have an email from them. So this is why I got a new credit card. But I have an email from them that says, effective this day, your account is canceled and you will no longer be charged. So credit card dispute, not going to be an issue. But that was, But so I guess like even legitimate services can take advantage of you was kind of my whole point. And it's not necessarily being scammed, but it's like those tack on services. Like we have one of those fancy office printers, like the kind that you'd like scan your butt with like in college or something. You're like a fancy office printer.
I went to college in the middle of a cornfield and we still didn't do that. So
Okay. Well, we have one of the really nice printers, scanners, etc. for like things.
scanning your butt. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, I was thinking you could sit on it. That's where I was going with that. But it's a big printer. I don't, Anyway, and they, even though, so you're supposed to have they can sell you insurance basically, right, on the printer. But if you have business insurance, you don't need to also pay for their insurance. Although they had our insurance, they put it on anyway because it's like pure profit for them. So for example, like, warranties, I think warranties and extended warranties for the most part, unless it's an Apple product, I'm a fan of Apple Care.
I was going to say, like, I have always loved my Apple warranty.
Yes. See? So unless it's Apple Care, extended warranties are basically a scam. I mean, I'm going to go with, or not. I mean, just like, you have to look at.
I think it depends on the person. Like I'm assuming that the people who are watching this are like, have bought a phone before or like have used one or some type of technology enough, like, if you're the type of person that like you like really care for your items and like have the extra screen protectors. Or I remember when my brother got a phone, like we had to get the like the extra hazard pay, like the $20 a month one, because of the number of times that phone went through the washing machine.
Yeah.
Like you kind of know yourself of whether or not like you may need extra water protection.
Yep. So no, and it's definitely a good thing to buy, like when it comes to, like phones especially. I think for phones, I think, those extended warranties are pretty good. But I think for a lot of stuff, like when you're doing like a checkout or like working in a store, like I worked at CompUSA, which is, if anyone remembers them, like a Best Buy, and they went out of business, and they pushed us selling the warranties like so hard, too, because there was so much profit in them, in the cables. And it's not necessarily a scam, but I think a lot of times the extra stuff getting upsold is like a semi scam, right? Because that's like where a lot of the profit is. I remember they kept yelling at one of the salespeople because he sold way too many TVs and not enough cables, because they made more money off the HDMI cable than they made off the TV. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel that's kind of scammy-ish, right? I mean, is that a scam? Is that taking advantage of? Is that somebody being ignorant? Which one is that?
I think I think it's definitely taking advantage of. I feel like a scam is kind of, it's the bait and switch, where you think you're getting like I'll use an MLM, like you think you're getting this amazing essential oil that's going to really help you. But really what you're getting is something that's not even food grade safe, and putting it on your skin. So I think the thing about scams is like more of the bait and switch, but I do think that there are less than positive salesmen in that type of sales technique of, hey, let's add this on or that on. And I have done the sales pitch before. It's not that easy. It's also stressful in its own right, I feel, to kind of have your income dependent on making other people buy things. Like, that's not always the the most relaxing work environment. But I think part of kind of financial responsibility and advocacy is learning how to say no and how to walk away from these scams, how to get your money back, how to cancel without feeling the guilt about it as well, because some of these salesmen, companies, whatever, trying to prey on vulnerable populations do bet money that we're not going to fight back, we're not going to cancel, we're not going to deal with it, and we're just going to, eat the cost.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of it too, is just even the inertia to like unsign up for the thing that's, like $1 a month, right? Or just like the amount of people where it's just not worth the energy to, fight back, right? And I think they really take advantage of that. So
I mean, like, I know that I could spend an hour unsubscribing to all the things that clutter up my inbox, and it probably spends more time to like select all these things and delete them every single day. But I'm still like, the executive dysfunction part of like making the time to actually schedule to unsubscribe to things, to do some of that kind of financial health care, as it were.
yeah. No, what I find is, well, like in the unsubscribing from spam and stuff is I feel like I get in a mood where I start doing a bunch of it and then I like give up for a while, or just like not signing up for newsletters in the first place, right? I find can work, but yeah, unsubscribing from stuff. Ooh, I have a fun thing about scamming an identity. It's probably my favorite, actually. And I don't think I mentioned it in a long time. It's that if somebody knows where you were born or where you're from and they know your birthday, they can pretty much figure out the rest of your social security number.
Well, that's sketch.
Yeah, so sometimes these phone calls, right? They just want to verify the last four of your social, right? And so I'll give you an example. Now they've started to change it. So, for example, so like for my daughter who was born, this doesn't work anymore. But for the vast majority of people and pretty much, anyone over, 18, it's where you got your social, right? And so now, so Brigid, for example, so the middle two are going to be roughly the year you were born, right? So it's probably, again, roughly the year you were born. Okay. And the middle two, and this is the same for everyone, by the way. I'm not giving people a secret to hack Brigid. Brigid, if you want me to stop poking fun at you, I can just do me.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Like, it's not accurate so far, but like,
really?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm talking within like 5 to 10 years. So if you're born in like 89, 19, 80 should be okay, right?
No.
Give or take. No?
Damn.
Well, see, now my whole thing where I like figure out your social, like in this. Okay. Do the first two letters begin with O2?
First two letters.
Or numbers. Yes. Digits.
Oh.
No? Okay, then I'm stuck. So okay. Anyway, this was a bad example, but it should work. So for example,
welcome to Andrew's magic tricks.
Thank you. Most people in Connecticut, for example, begin with 04. So, okay. Maine, I think is 02. Right?
Oh, I'm not from Maine.
Well, they're okay. So where are you from? So I don't know. What state?
Oh.
Okay, well, I don't know all of them, but it's also where you got your social too. Not everyone was born with a social security number. So some older people, like Barack Obama's was a Connecticut social. I'm still not quite sure why, but it's, but a lot of times it's where people got the job, or sometimes, military or off base. Now you get them when you're born. So almost everyone in
Not
Connecticut.
always. Like there are still like occasions and families and people that try their best to stay off the grid, and you end up with teenagers who try to get a job and don't actually have
yeah. Yeah, no, but yeah, and then it's like where you got your job, or let's say that you weren't born in this country, and like you said, you move here. It's where you got your social. So, which is many times where you were born, but definitely not always. And yeah, the middle two, roughly the year you were born. Apparently, it doesn't work for everyone, but it works for lots and lots of people. So, and then if they know the last four,
Yeah.
there aren't that many combinations, and then they're able to figure out your entire social security number. So that's kind of one of my favorite ones. They kind of fixed it a little bit.
I know that they're like redoing and like they're adding another Matrix movie, and people are joking about like, hey, like how can Matrix movie like have the same impact in 2022? And I think that if someone were to steal your identity in the Matrix, they should also have to have like whatever health conditions and stuff. Like they assume your identity.
They assume the good and the bad.
Yeah, like it's like those jokes about like a demon possessing someone. They're like, what's all this pain? That type of thing.
Yeah. So when is that coming out?
I don't know. I think they're still filming.
Okay. Are they only doing one, or are they doing more, or?
I mean, I will watch anything with Keanu Reeves. So
Okay.
like,
how many times have you seen Speed?
I've lost count. Because
It's
that
amazing.
also stars Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so scams. Yeah. Do you have any advice to help someone recover who has maybe been a victim of a scam, or trying to kind of resolve from being the victim of a scam?
I think, the first thing is, what type of scam was it? If it's something where somebody is likely to have your identity and or your personal information, right? Then it's really important to realize that and do the steps like freezing your credit to protect your personal information. Keep an eye on your credit, see if anything's open in your name, change some passwords. So, I mean, that's first off, right? If you've been scammed, you've probably given away personal information. So take some steps to protect and monitor that. I would say the next thing is it's probably a poor analogy, or maybe it isn't, but something like, just stages of grief. Like a lot of times there's just nothing you can do about it. And I find that to be the worst part of all of it, right? Is, where we like to follow rules. There's a rule. It wasn't followed. Or, like the example with the software company not doing what they were supposed to do, right? What there's like the injustice, like, drives me to no end, like the money. And I don't think that's everyone, just, and so I think there's like guilt, like you should have known better, whether or not you should have known better or not, you feel, guilty or that you deserved it. But at the end of the day, I think the best thing you can do is learn from it, realize that you're not stupid, that these people are really, really good, right? And it's not just like a Nigerian prince. Like that gift card thing is good. So like they went about a bunch of financial advisors, they went to our websites so that when they emailed my employees, they knew I was the boss. They knew stuff about me, right? Like they're very targeted, they're very good. So don't feel like you're an idiot. Just
so we message back and forth and like share memes, and I know there have been a few times where you've sent me an image and it will be the URL instead of the image. I'm like, not clicking on that, because there's one of those scams that goes through social media where it's a link and says, oh my goodness, I just saw this video. Is it you? And as someone who is a mermaid, fire performer, all this stuff, like the number of times where I have almost clicked on it, and I know a bunch of my performer friends who have clicked on it, because it's like, oh, well, I was just wearing like 4-foot tall fire wings last week. Maybe this is a video from it. Like it's hard sometimes to know, to really kind of trust what you feel like you should be able to trust, even though it is just ones and zeros and we're all inside the matrix.
Yeah. I've noticed, yeah. And the other tough way to avoid things is to, like call people or verify, or, if somebody asks you to like buy a gift card and text them, like use their number, maybe message them on Facebook, contact somebody the way you usually do. Like be suspicious if somebody doesn't do it. And by the way, if I ever send a meme to you as a link, I mean, that's a pure accident. Meme etiquette is like an extremely important to me, and with like linking to Facebook posts and like not cropping your memes, like that's like an atrocity. So I apologize for the 1 or 2 times that I've done that. Hopefully it wasn't more. So
yeah, no, I think it was just
okay.
like
Okay, good. I mean, I still feel bad about that one time.
But that's what you get for trying to guess my social.
Yeah, no, and I failed. I'm wrong. And you insulted my meme etiquette. I mean, that's just really bad all around. But I guess, if you've, realize it's not the end of the world if you've been scammed. Like I don't know about, have you been scammed at any amount of money, like legitimately? Like,
yeah, like I mean, some of it is like old school and stuff, like of handing someone cash because like their car broke down or something like that. Where, like, I mean, it's one of those things where it was a type of situation where I'm like, you know what, like even if this is not true, like this story is good enough that you deserve this money. But yeah, like I've had to cancel subscriptions and stuff. Like I've like if things happen really quickly for me, like it's really easy for me to kind of get caught up in things, and then I'll be there like a couple hours later and I'm like, wait, what did I just agree to? What did I just sign up for? Like, oh, let me try this free sample something. No. But I think I also am very cynical and have been watching a lot of catfish reruns lately. And if you're going to send money to someone who you're dating, you should, have met them in person and or video chatted with them and seen their face. Like, don't just send money all willy-nilly. Like, and don't ever send a money order to like, oh, well, you got to send it to my friend because I don't have, it's like, no. This is exactly what lands you on catfish.
And another good one is PayPal will let you send something as friends and family. Or
we get that. I get that a lot because I do stuff like with nail polish communities and flow arts communities. And the other part, I don't know if they've changed it. It was a huge issue last year because even the PayPal guarantee only guarantees for a certain amount of time. It only protects your purchase up to like a year or something. So when companies are selling concert tickets for more than a year out, the PayPal guarantee does not actually protect like the person who's buying. And I've heard of some horror stories from people. And I mean, that is also something that I was a victim of like trying to be part of a fringe festival showcase, and it turns out like it came out that this person was never associated with any fringe festival circuit. Like they just kind of took the money and ran, and like years later still trying to, like, the ripples of that are still felt. And this person's like, oh yeah, I'm doing the first online fringe festival ever and you can be a part of it. And it's like, yo, no, like, stop.
Well, so I want to bring it home with that, because that just reminds me of, like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And as much as I like to think very highly of myself, and I try not to say much more so Brigid didn't just spit out her water at something ridiculous.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
even though I'm on a Mac and I do have the Apple Care protection.
See, there we go. But you know, it's like, I will, like, if you're asked to like speak at something as like an autistic self-advocate and anyone wants you to pay, I mean, I also think that that's a scam in a way. Like, you know,
well,
like, you know,
it's huge for performers of like, hey, like pay this amount and you can get your headshots. Like, again, talking about repurposing images and stuff and passing them off on as their own, like as a performer and an artist, like that's something that is a regular occurrence, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I was invited to like speak at like some random conference with like somebody I've never met, and like I'm pretty sure, and maybe they wanted money, maybe they didn't, but like if somebody reaches out to you and like starts like complimenting you and you're great, and I hate the MLM thing on, oh, so they ask all these open-ended questions, which first off, just like I can't handle even regardless. So like, in that way, that MLM strategy, we're like, we have like a shield against it because it's like these open-ended questions that we just can't handle, you know, regardless, if that makes sense. But it's very much like, oh, you know, they'll find out, oh, so you're a certified neurodiversity professional. Tell me more about that. Like, they use a little bit of real information, right? Nothing's ever like completely made up. So we had like no input from like everyone this time. So everyone sucks. So thank you. No, I'm kidding. That was sarcasm. Everyone, thank you for attending. Does anyone have any questions or in the chat? We'll think about what to do next time. You know what it might be too? It is Yom Kippur as well.
Oh, okay.
I mean, although it is Two Autistics Talk Money, we should not assume that the vast majority of the people attending might be Jewish. I'm
pagan, so
I mean, it is, you know.
Excuse me, I have a question for you guys if you're open.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned open-ended questions that these people ask you. One of the things I'm confused about is how specifically do those open-ended questions target you, and can you give more examples of the kind of questions that they are likely to ask?
Oh, yeah. So for like some MLMs and stuff, I've noticed some of the open-ended questions are like, hey, are you interested in earning some extra money? Some other open-ended questions that they'll try to use to get in. Hey, I have a friend who's doing a giveaway. All you have to do is guess a number, and then you get spammed with a bunch of stuff. But they'll try to kind of make small chat and stuff with you of like, hey, like, how are you doing? I see your Facebook posts. Everything looks so wonderful. Like, what have you been up to? And kind of wanting, it's a numbers game for them, where they'll just send out those types of messages to as many people. If they send it out to 100 people and 10 respond and one person keeps responding back and forth, like that's a sale that they've made. So for a lot of those scammers, it's all a numbers game to them of just sending out the messages and hoping to get a bite.
What's interesting is there have been some situations where if I ask certain scammers open-ended questions, they won't even answer them. Like one individual I once asked, how long have you been part of this company? And she said, somebody direct, oh, you know, you asked many good questions. Maybe we should meet for coffee sometime and discuss it. Well, she can't even answer a simple question like that, or is told not to. I mean, that's usually not a good thing. And I know scammers who know that will get even more sophisticated, but I just
Totally. And if a scammer is unable to answer those types of direct questions, like if they're trying to push health food stuff and you're like, hey, so what does the FDA say about your supplements? And they're like, that's a great question. If you want to meet up, I can bring some promotional materials. But there are an increasing number of like robo scammers and stuff too that not encouraging it, but I have seen some people in some groups kind of just respond to them and make up random things. And it's just very outrageous too, to see. It's like, oh, it's like those good old days where you're just on AIM and messaging robots. I can't be the only one who did that.
No, I got it. I just think oh God, what was the main one? I'm trying to remember. A Smarter Child, was that it? Yes, that's it. Smarter Child. Yes. So that kind of went away. Yeah, but that was fun. So we are going to do, not on a Jewish holiday, I'm assuming, 4 weeks from now, the next one. I don't know what topic we're gonna do. I mean, we should try to think of something semi-related to Halloween because it's coming up. But yes.
Does that mean well, I'm not asking permission. I'm gonna dress in costume.
Yes, perfect. I'm
gonna ask permission. No, I'm a co-host.
No, don't ask permission. No, we're good. So
I'm team ask forgiveness instead. But yeah, maybe we can put out a poll on the Facebook page, or if any of y'all want to message. I'm trying to convince Andrew to get some theme music.
Yes, we need to get some theme music. So I don't know what our theme song should be, but we will work on something. Hopefully everyone at least learned one or two interesting things.
I know that I should try to freeze my credit and I should not use the same passwords for everything.
Well, why don't you take one small step at a time, and why don't you get started with the freezing credit? Because I imagine you just have a million.
So how do I do that? Like, do I go to a website? Can I do I have to make a phone call with someone? Because I really don't.
No, but you do have to go. I'll send you a link when we hang up. I'll send you the info.
And that link will be in the comments section or the video description.
Ooh, that's really good. Yes, I will do that. That's
why you brought me on.
Perfect. It's one of the many reasons. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.